Welcome back. I'm Nate. That's Tony. We're talking Week 9 recap of the NFL season from a fantasy and a regular sports perspective. Today we'll be going over what we learned in Week 9 of the 2023 NFL season. We're going to talk about some players to stash for these bye weeks that are coming up in fantasy football. So you got Week 14, Week 13 when you're trying to get a position spot within the playoffs, Week 11, Week 10. A lot of teams on bye still, like half the league hasn't gone on bye. So we'll cover some of those. In honor of the NFL putting its players out there to be in the Olympics for a flag football tournament. I don't know what that word is. Encouraging the players to go play flag football for the Olympics in 2024, I believe it is. We're going to be drafting an Olympic flag football team for our fantasy draft this week, leaving you with a rant and rave and a banger of the week. But first, as always, Tony, what is on top of your mind?
We got the majority of our interior decorating done for Christmas this past weekend. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. At the top of my mind is why we don't make this a regular thing. I mean, Lowe's and, Walmart and Home Depot, other retailers are all selling Christmas decorations. And they're doing that before Halloween even comes by, right? So people are buying it. It might as well be normalized that we put this stuff up. It's the greatest time of the year. Decorating for before Thanksgiving should be something that everybody does. I know you support this. I saw your tree.
Yeah, my tree is up as well, Tony. That was the task at hand for this Saturday afternoon that we just passed. And you know what it is? Like I don't have tons of Christmas decorations. We have a tree, we have stockings, we have a couple other little gadgets here or whatever, but the house just feels so much better when the Christmas tree's up. And
1,000%.
Anybody who complains about it going up the day after Halloween is an anarchist. I don't know what else to tell you. Like they hate Jesus. You got to come up with one of those like how they have the word anti-Semitism and stuff like that. Like we need one of those, like for, Jesus and Christmas and his birthday. Like, man, let's celebrate this thing for a long time. It's just the day we celebrate it on. We don't even know if that's actually the right day. I think they say it's like somewhere around the summer or something like that. But that's when we celebrate it. So, yeah, you got to have Christmas stuff up. But I do need to go out. Task this weekend is to go out and gather some more Christmas decorations and stuff like that too. So looking forward to that. Top of mind for me, it has to. Honestly, I have had this thing of Bryce Young in my head all day for like the last 18, 24, 36 hours or something like that. Because I sat there and I know that this Colts secondary is so terrible. Like it is the worst secondary in all of football. I bet a Jonathan Mingo over 38.5 yards. But one defensive back from the Indianapolis Colts has more catches and more yards than anybody else on the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young's throwing touchdowns out there all day, left and right. And it's so bothersome because, last week we sit there and watch the Carolina Panthers beat the Houston Texans. They were both coming off bye, and it was like, CJ Stroud's going to show them, and all this kind of stuff. You should have picked me, all this kind of stuff. And Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers win a ball game. And then this week, this guy has the most cupcake matchup of all cupcake matchups in the passing game. Like they're on par. I think the Tennessee Titans are actually getting better in pass protection, and at least better than what they were. But Indianapolis Colts are the worst whatsoever, and we'll target them for the rest of the year. And then we watch that happen with Bryce Young, and we watch C.J. Stroud go for damn near 500 yards, a bazillion touchdowns, and gather the troops and rally them on a 75-yard drive, 40-something seconds left to win a ball game against, one of Oklahoma's greatest, Baker Mayfield. The guy chugs beers. He puts Zins in. He's jacked. He looks kind of chubby, but it's just probably like abs that are super huge. And it's been bugging me all day because we're going to watch the Carolina Panthers have receiver talent, and they're never going to be able to use it. And they have a good coaching staff, and it's because their ownership wanted Bryce Young. Their GM's not going to go against the owner and just be like, hey, this, that, the other. We need to, move on. We can have a top pick, here in a year or two or whatever it is. We could trade away pieces to get up near the top and get another quarterback this year or we can go into free agency and get something else. And they won't do it because they're going to
Mm-hmm.
stick with him. And the Carolina Panthers are going to have 15,000 fans in their stadium for the next 3 years. And it's terrible for football. That it's just been on my mind because they've had receivers there that I really like. Like I like DJ Chark. I've liked Levis Chenault, not Levis Chenault, who's the Terrace Marshall,
Terrace Marshall,
who
Mingo.
outplayed Jamar Chase in the national championship game. Let's not forget about Terrace Marshall. He was the dog at LSU, and now they got Jonathan Mingo, and it is all going down the tubes. It's just been on my mind. I can't stop thinking about it. I've been trying to watch. Like, did something happen? Nope. Just stinks. Jesus Christ. Let's move on to the sports, Tony. Let's talk about 3 things that we learned from this week in week 9 of the 2023 season and potentially what we're going to do with them going forward. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, didn't review any of the players you wrote down, so I'm hoping we don't cross streams here. First one I have is though CJ Stroud. He can be relied on for fantasy purposes. Obviously, with that massive output this last week, 2,200 yards on the season, 14 touchdowns, one interception. Mm-hmm. Did not know it was that low. He just passed for 470 and five scores in one game. I think that tied a record. Passing yards broke a rookie record. Very, very impressive. What I'm doing with that info, he's borderline QB1 territory. Could get you through some bye weeks or should be starting if you're playing like Superflex, right? But Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Tank Dell, even Noah Brown, talk about him later. All those guys have some type of fantasy or DFS relevance. So he's kind of bringing up the floors and the ceilings of those guys. I like CJ Stroud and the Texans a lot. I think I mentioned this on the last one or on our preview, but I think Houston is just kind of ahead of where we thought they were going to be, and it's pretty cool, pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I think we both had mistakes in dropping players this week, Tony, in fantasy football. I forget who it was that you dropped that went off, but I don't know if you noticed in the League of Record, I dropped CJ Stroud because someone dropped Russell Wilson. And I was like, well, I'm going to pick up Russell Wilson because this team is going to, he's playing well. He's the QB1, right? And after this week, he just went on bye, and there's a bunch of teams that have really prolific quarterbacks that haven't gone on bye yet. But he was sitting at like quarterback 9 or something like that. Now he's at 15 because he's played one less game. But they're not going to stop passing the ball. They're struggling to run the ball. So I was like, you know what? Whatever, I'll drop CJ Stroud and I'm going to pick up Russell Wilson, a bona fide QB1. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season with CJ Stroud. Maybe teams catch on. And then he goes for $500, essentially. And then I'm sitting here with, deciding whether I want to spend some waiver budget to get him back. But I had the Browns quarterback in Deshaun Watson as well, just dropped him. Added Derek Carr to the mix because they just keep passing the ball. And I have Derek Carr and Russell Wilson as my quarterbacks. And I had CJ Stroud and Deshaun Watson. Woohoo! But we'll keep winning. So, holy crap. My number 1 is going to be Josh Dobbs as a QB1 for the rest of the season. So, Josh Dobbs played pretty well. And I wanted to bring this up last week, Tony, when we were talking about this and talk about in picking winners when we're talking about Minnesota Vikings, what we're going to do with them going forward, because I thought they would lose last week. But he played fairly well, and he's got rushing upside, right? And he's super smart. Obviously, he's like astronaut, astrophysicist, all this kind of stuff. Like the dude knows space and gets shout-outs from NASA on Twitter, X, or whatever. But this dude is a godsend for the tight end position. You watched Zach Ertz be a tight end 1, and then you watched Trey McBride be a tight end 1 for a week or two when Zach Ertz went out. And now you have one of the better tight ends in the entire NFL in TJ Hockenson. But you also have guys like Jordan Addison, who's fairly good at playing wide receiver, KJ Osborne, who's pretty good at playing wide receiver, and you have Justin Jefferson coming back. They have weapons. And the thing is that this defense of the Minnesota Vikings, I don't know if you've watched this as of late, but remember at the beginning of the year, they were just blitz heavy, playing this man defense. We talked about it in the coaching breakdowns of Brian Flores' defense and what they want to do and how we didn't think they had the guys to do it. Well, they did it for 4 to 5 to 6 weeks or whatever like that, 4 to 5 weeks. But now they're showing all those looks and backing out of them and bringing pressures from all different angles. And it's totally confusing opposing offenses, which is getting them a lot more stops and more opportunities because they're not giving up these long drives anymore, right? So they're going to have more opportunity to do stuff. They can't run the ball well with Alexander Mattison. Cam Akers blows out his Achilles again, not looking good for Aaron Rodgers. I think he's coming back in 4 months with the same doctor that Cam Akers went to. But Josh Dobbs is going to have all the weapons in the world, and they're able to compete for a division title right now because they're only 2 games back of the Detroit Lions. And they play the Detroit Lions twice to finish out the year. They also get to play all the rest of the games in the division, which are dog shit games anyways too, right? So their schedule actually looks pretty decent. And I think it can honestly come down to them having to beat the Detroit Lions. And I don't think the Detroit Lions are all that great. They get a lot of hype, but they're essentially the same as the Miami Dolphins, as the Dallas Cowboys, as these teams that are bullies who could beat up on, bad teams. But if they get punched in the mouth, they end up losing ball games. But Josh Dobbs is going to have the best weapons he's ever had in his career. And he just won over an entire locker room, not knowing plays, them telling him in the huddle, hey, the wide receiver to your far left is running a slant. This one's running an out. This one's running a slant and go, an out and up. And they were doing that in the huddle, and they threw for 300 some yards, touchdowns everywhere. I don't know if he really hit 300, but it felt like it was 300.
Just under 200.
Just no way.
Oh, he didn't play the whole game.
No way.
He didn't play the whole game.
I could have. Maybe it's because we play team quarterback, and I'm looking at team quarterback stats.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that good, anyways. But no way. I gotta look this up now.
I'm looking it up right now. Because I
he
thought
threw
I
for
wrote
158.
Down.
That was it. 158.
Yeah.
Oh, he ran for 66. He almost got to 300 yards. Well, he accumulated over 200 something yards, right? But this dude's gonna have all the weapons in the world. They're gonna score touchdowns because they're able to move the ball, and it's a really good feel-good story. And big props to Josh Dobbs for solidifying himself as a QB1 for the rest of the year. I mean, you could just go down the line of guys that you'd rather have over him in that situation right now, and there's a handful. So, Josh Dobbs QB1.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Yeah, there were crossing streams right there. We should have coordinated this.
Yeah.
I like Josh Dobbs a lot. He does maybe lower the ceilings of some of those guys. For sure, once Jefferson comes back, right, all the other guys are going to take a little bit of a hit. But in the interim, I think the floors are just fine. No issue starting Hockenson. No issue starting Addison. Until Jefferson comes back, you're probably safe with KJ Osborne as well. So, love that. He only passed for 158, got the 2 scores through the air. But, yeah, he did get 66 on the ground and a third score. Won the game. Already named the Week 10 starter. Not sure if he's getting the nod for the rest of the season. Maybe they want to see what they have in Jaren Hall. I don't know. But I think they'll probably stick with Dobbs as long as they're relevant for the division or like a playoff spot. And they're pretty hot. They're a hot team right now. That O'Connell-Flores duo, I like it. I think they're doing really well. Sucks that Cousin went out.
Yeah, they're actually only a game and a half back because Detroit's 6-2. They're 5-4. Right. So
that's crazy.
That's a game and a half. I think Josh
Dobbs started
0-3,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And now they're winning 1-score games again.
And Dobbs can keep these guys fantasy relevant. Like, look what he did for Hollywood Brown, Trey McBride. You mentioned Zach Ertz, and like even Michael Wilson showed some flash. Rondale Moore had some flash. James Conner was doing fantastic until he got injured, right? So I'll let you go with your next one, Nate, and then I'll get my third one after.
Another one is he's not afraid to throw it down to the check down to the running back as well. So we saw Alexander Mattison had 2 catches in this game, while Cam Akers also had 3 catches. So.
And he's done. Akers is done. So
and Akers is done.
That helps funnel everything to Madison.
Maybe you getting some Madison love there going forward. My number 2 is going to be that the New York Giants pass catchers are all alive and we can start them, which is kind of nice because we haven't been able to start them for the majority of the year. You look at Darius Slayton, 4 for 59, Bellinger taking over for Waller at 3 for 43. Wan'Dale Robinson, 4 for 35 and a touchdown. Saquon, 3 for 23. Jalen Hyatt, 2 for 19. Paris Campbell getting a couple targets. But a lot of these guys are getting 3, 4, 5, 6 targets going forward. And a lot of that is because Tommy DeVito is the quarterback of this team. So they're going to start out 14-0 to start a game. And I don't know if you got to see any of this, but he actually started slinging the ball. They finally let him pass it this week, which is weird. They didn't let him pass it last week because the dude's got some arm talent, but he's a gunslinger dude, and they're going to need to throw the ball. And if you're playing some DFS, these guys are all bottom barreled in salary or anything like that. The market's not going to catch up within this week. I guarantee you the market's probably not catching up to the amount of yards and the receptions for some of these dudes. I'd urge anybody to just go watch the tape and see what they run and then try to pick out what their next opponent is struggling at or where they have a hole. Wan'Dale Robinson catching a lot of those bubble screens is really nice too, and he works over the middle being small. So New York Giant pass catchers, you're looking for these, bye week fillers that you have guys in this coming up week in 10 with the Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Eagles. I mean, there's 10 pass catchers out, for this week across, 12 teams in the league or something like that. You're bound to have one of them. And then the following weeks, you got the Falcons, Colts, Patriots, Saints, Ravens, Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, Cardinals, and Commanders to finish out the season. Plug in some New York Giants, and you have a safe floor of getting you, anywhere from 7 to 10 points with some of these guys in a PPR league. They get a touchdown, icing on the cake. You only need them for 1 week, and then you can kind of dump them. But that is my second take.
I like it. My final one is going to be Keaton Mitchell. Carried the ball 9 times against the Seahawks for 138 yards and a touchdown. The dude looks very explosive. He's got a lot of juice. Being passed a note here from the producers. Producers are telling me he has that dog in him, Nate.
I thought they were going to say that juice is very important to the running back position.
Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, those guys are still there, but neither one of them are due to stay on the field. They don't play all 17 games of an NFL season. They miss time, and if Mitchell continues to show that kind of burst, he's going to leapfrog one or both of them. Baltimore's a team that's going to want to run. They know that's the recipe to a deep playoff run. But dude looked very good against Seattle. Don't have very many data points on him, but what I'm doing with that, I'm going to roster him. He's out there in 99% of ESPN leagues. I believe he's worth a roster spot if you can afford it.
You know where he's not at in 22-man starting roster IDP dynasties? He's not on waivers because he's on my roster. He's really fast. The thing is that he's small. Yeah, he's on my team. Of course he's on my team. He's on my roster because he's small. Or he's just small, but he's super, super fast. We saw that a little bit of that in the preseason time frame. And in how you call that, like OTAs and the combine stuff. I don't know if he surpasses Gus Edwards because Gus Edwards still gets all the goal line work. He had 2 touchdowns from inside or whatever like that, but he's got that breakaway speed, and that's kind of fun to see with Lamar Jackson in that read option type style offense that they can run. So one of those. So he had 9 for 128, 138. Something like that. And one of them was a 60-yard touchdown. 60-yard touchdown, and once he hit the line of scrimmage, you knew he was gone. Like, there's just no catching him. But that's how crazy it was. Like, small slivers, he's just boom right through him. So, exciting player to watch, just small. So, I wouldn't count on the goal line stuff. Maybe they'll use him as a pass catcher out of there. But my last one kind of ties into my first one, and that's TJ Hockenson. I think he's going to be the overall tight end 1 this season. And he's going to be the overall tight end 1 by a large margin for the rest of the season because Josh Dobbs is quarterback. Talked about that a little bit ago with Zach Ertz and Trey McBride, but it's the best tight end he's ever played with. I mean, this is literally the best offensive weapons he's ever had, but TJ Hockenson is already, I think he's tight end 1 already, I believe, because Kelsey's had a couple, weeks where he's taken out, whatever, but TJ Hockenson. And it's crazy because there may be people out there, and I've seen some of these things floating around the old interwebs and stuff like that, but there may be an opportunity for you to actually trade for TJ Hockenson. If you have a stacked wide receiver room right, and a middle end tight end or something like that, right? So you got Daniel Bellinger, or you got I'm just trying to think of guys down the list. Um, Dalton Schultz, Dalton Schultz and a wide receiver too,
He showed up.
with a team that's got injuries, right? Like they got Jamar Chase or something like that, or I don't know how they might have Jamar Chase. Like trade away a wide receiver, or just trade away a running back. Like the running backs aren't doing all that great anyway this entire season. There's a handful of dudes who are actually producing really, really well for us. Maybe you had Kamara as a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th round pick or something like that in your fantasy league, and he's upholding you. You can go get TJ Hockenson, and someone's like, well, it is Josh Dobbs, and that was one game, right? And against the Atlanta Falcons, and people don't think the Atlanta Falcons are good, and they actually have a decent defense and stuff like that. If you're playing one of those leagues with bozos, you might be able to go get yourself a TJ Hockenson. I swear I've been trying it across all my leagues except for one that I know where people are actually brilliantly smart. Really two. But in my other 6 leagues, offers went out for TJ Hockenson today. So but we'll see. But I've seen some trades going in for TJ Hockenson. Saw him over the last week and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You might be able to get yourself some TJ Hockenson. I would definitely try it, right? If you have a stacked room of one of those things, find something, because that dude spent a 2nd, 3rd rounder and was hoping to bank on, something else happening, and it didn't happen. Give them 2 good pieces. Get yourself TJ Hockenson. Might take you over the top to win a championship this year. That is my 3rd.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Players to stash at this point of the season, Tony. Last week we kind of talked about some waiver wire handcuff things we talked about handcuffs 2 weeks ago. Last week we talked about some things on managing roster in season. Some of that was to get rid of some of the fat on your team. But what kind of fat do we want to keep on our team as we have bye weeks? That's 4, 8, 10, 16 teams still on bye over the next 4 weeks when we're trying to make a push to get into the playoffs. I'll let you go first with the player you're looking to stash.
Yeah, it's getting colder. We want to start accumulating that fat. We want to start cultivating some mass, I think the young folks are saying. So I'm looking at players on ESPN who are rostered at 30% or lower. That was just my baseline. Not sure what you were looking at. We've got some heavy hitters on bye these next few weeks. So this is very timely, Nate. I'm not sure if that's why you picked this time to do this. But in week 10, the Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, Eagles on bye. In total over the next 3 weeks, 14 teams are on bye, half the damn league. So my first one, though, Noah Brown. The dude is rostered on 0.8% of teams in ESPN. Weeks 10 through 12, he gets Cincinnati. That should be a shootout. Arizona, they suck. Jacksonville, they play good defense, but could be high scoring. Not really sure about that one, but that's 2 out of 3. We already talked about CJ Stroud kind of ascending, doing all the right things, playing good football. He's only played, Noah Brown has, in 4 games this season. He's got a 78% route participation, so he's on the field running routes 78% of the time. He's got a 16% target share. You'll take that as a number 3 receiver, really number 4 option right behind Dalton Schultz. And he's averaging almost 12 PPR fantasy points per game. In terms of points per game, he's in the same territory as Drake London, Deebo Samuel, Romeo Dobbs, Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Gabe Davis, Chris Godwin. You could do a lot worse than Noah Brown, and he's free right now. You probably don't have to pay anything to pick him up.
Yeah, I like that. My number 1 is going to be Russell Wilson. Not because I just picked him up. I swear that is not the reason why. But Russell Wilson is a QB1. And he's been a QB1 this entire season. Jerry Jeudy's been sufficient. Cortland Sutton is a go-to guy, especially in the red zone. Yep. They have decent tight end work. Then Javonte Williams is coming along now, and he's getting a lot more passing work and stuff like that. We're not seeing P. Rhyme as much. McLaughlin's kind of taking over some of that spell work, but he can catch the ball as well. And they struggle to run the ball. They're going to be passing a bunch when you look at what they have going on for the rest of their schedule. And I was mainly looking at these big quarterback bye weeks, right? This week they play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Tough game, tough environment. It's Monday Night Football. But if the Broncos are to be being beat in this game. I think they compete fairly well with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have some injuries in the secondary, and they haven't been the same since Milano's been out at linebacker. But they're easily beatable. We've seen that by anybody that's competent in the NFL. They should be able to put up some points. They're a 7.5-point underdog. That means they're going to be throwing the ball. And Russ is always good for some good garbage time touchdown right near the end. He's running the ball a little bit this year as well, too. So you can probably bank on 3 points from 30 yards rushing as he's scrambling, running from Von Miller and everybody else that's trying to come after him. But after that, he's got the Vikings in Week 11. So when you're looking at Falcons, Colts, Patriots, Saints, maybe you have one of those quarterbacks for some reason. And then the Browns, you're not going to use them in 12. Everybody's playing that week. But Week 13 is where I was really looking at because there's 6 teams on bye. Ravens, Bills, Bears. So you should have Justin Fields back. If you're an AOC believer, not talking about that brought up in New York, I'm talking about the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, the Vikings, and the Giants, which you probably don't have that anymore with Daniel Jones being out. But there's 4 quarterbacks there, maybe 5 that you're rostering at some point for some reason. And they play the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans defense, their zone defense is not as good as it needs to be. They're letting up tons of points, and I think the Broncos can pass all over them. It is a December 3rd game, but they're not playing in Mile High. They're playing on the road in Houston, which is inside a dome, friendly confines of the indoors. In Texas, fairly close to where Sean Payton used to coach. Houston's a little bit, that way towards Louisiana when you're looking at the globe. So some people, maybe those people from some 4-lettered state that has a weird pennant flag would say that, even if they're in the Midwest, then Louisiana and Texas is as well. So good weather. Russell Wilson. He is 55% owned across all leagues. And I think some of that's because of bye week. But I'm not dropping a QB1, a guy who's been a QB1, top 10 quarterback in fantasy, just because he's on a bye week, right? So 55% owned. Not
bad. Are we riding? Let's ride? Is that a thing again? Broncos country.
We've been riding, dog. We've been riding. All the teams that everybody hates and thinks stink are the ones that we attack and we roster. So,
next one here for me, Jonnu Smith, rostered in 27.1% of leagues. He has games this year of 15, 10, 13, and most recently 25 PPR fantasy points. You'll take all 4 of those outings. He's the tight end 11 on the year in PPR scoring amongst tight ends. Kyle Pitts is number 16. They're on the same team. He's got a 63% route participation, pretty good for a tight end, 19% targets per route run, 15% target share. Again, that's pretty good for a number 3 or 4 option on a team. He's awesome. The team loves him. And more importantly, Arthur Smith refuses to give the ball to Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson the way he should with the draft capital they've spent on those guys. And then Jonnu Smith has obviously been one of the beneficiaries. So you could do a lot worse than the tight end 11 on the year when you're trying to fill in some of these bye weeks.
It's, you ready for it? Blasphemy that Jonnu Smith is not owned in fantasy football.
It's crazy.
We know what's happening here. We know what's happening. There's enough data. This dude's getting end-around rushing opportunities at the goal line and scoring.
Dude.
It's wild what they're doing over there.
He's the weapon Arthur Smith and those guys have been waiting for years.
Yeah. That's why they haven't been That's why they haven't been passing the ball. The guy was on the wrong team. What was this Kyle Pitts? What? It ain't no Jonnu Smith. I'll show you. My second one is going to be Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. So Will Levis is 38% owned in fantasy football, which is kind of crazy because his first start was so good. And then, so everybody picked him up after that week, right? And then they go play the Steelers, who nobody's really afraid of the Steelers, right? From a passing standpoint. So, but he's got the Bucs coming up in week 10, 11 at the Jags. Probably don't want to play him there. But then he's got the Panthers at home, and then week 13, when Spymageddon, you're trying to get in the playoffs, he's got the Indianapolis Colts coming to Tennessee.
Oh.
And I'm going to harp on it week after week after week after week, the Colts secondary is trash. There's going to be this might be a 60-point game. Both of these teams might be able to let up some points if Gardner Minshew's still playing quarterback and he's not taken out by then. But Will Levis at 38% owned. You're looking at any of these bye weeks when you might play him. Tampa, the Panthers, the Colts. They're not a team who's competing for a division title. They're not competing for a playoff spot. Let's get this dude as many reps as possible to see what we can do with him, right? And see what we can do going forward. So they're going to sling it and 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 sling it. And he likes to do that. He's got a big, strong arm. He's got DeAndre Hopkins, Westbrook Akine, if he can stay healthy, pretty decent. He's
who else?
Big.
And who else?
And I don't know, some white kid.
Phenomenal college pedigree. Yeah, dude had like 4 or 5 catches this last week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he tore it up this last week,
man.
and I was like, "Who's this fucking white kid?"
I'm pretty sure Burks is gonna miss some time. So
yeah. And in those cold months, you throw a little bubble screen or a little, running back screen to Derrick Henry, and you got a couple linemen coming your way, but then behind those linemen is another dude who's as bigger than your middle linebacker. It's week 13. We're making business decisions on this defense.
For sure.
I gotta make it to next year. I'm in a contract year. I can't get hurt right now. Ole, 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 ole. There goes Derrick Henry, 60-yard reception for a touchdown.
Hell yeah.
Will Levis, I can see it right now. The Indianapolis Colts, swinging gate defense as Derrick Henry goes marching from the 40, 35, 30, 25. He could go all the way. Touchdown, Titans.
What announcer is this?
If I was the announcer for the Titans.
Okay. That's like a mix of like a WWE announcer and like a horse, was it?
Will Levis. Third touchdown of the game. The future. Bye-bye, Tannehill.
Okay. We're ready for number 3 here?
Sure.
Rashid Shaheed. He's rostered on about 30% of teams on ESPN. He's the wide receiver 30 on the year. I didn't even know he was up there. He's averaging about 11.3 PPR points per game. He's got games of 19, 10, 18, and 28. The floor is low, so 2 catches for 30 yards, but he's capable of helping you win, helping your team win a week. And Derek Carr likes to throw it deep. Olave Thomas occupy a lot of the short intermediate stuff. Olave gets deep too, but Shaheed can catch anything, that's 40, 50 yards down the field. The dude's electric. We're just 2 weeks removed from 3 catches for over 130 yards or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
The thing that's nice about having him in one of those spots is he's just a home run hitter. It's like Deshaun Jackson or something like that, right? Or Will Fuller, back when Will Fuller was playing before he kept getting hurt, where it's you just need one catch. Because that one catch is going for 60 and a touchdown, 13 PPR points in the books. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. So, my last one is, don't laugh, Tony. Don't laugh at me. But my last one is going to be Mac Jones. For the audio listeners, Tony threw down his headphones right now, and he has walked off. I don't know where he is right now, but listen up. We got the old Mac Jones, okay? And
you gotta be shitting me.
It's so valid. I think it is so valid. You got next week when you have the Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Eagles on bye. Mac Jones gets to play the Indianapolis Colts. Common theme here: the Colts stink. Mac Jones, not that great, but the Colts stink. They're so bad. And the Colts are 2-point favorites in this game for some reason. I don't think they're 2-point favorite. I think this is a pick'em game. I am betting the New England Patriots. I've already bet them. I've teased them. I've got berated in group text because I'm like New England Patriots, and people are like, stop betting on the New England Patriots. And I'm like, it's a bet against the Colts. But the Colts, the only reason they beat the Carolina Panthers was because they got 2 touchdowns from the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
2 pick sixes or they lose that ball game. It's that simple. They're terrible. But then after that, in week 12, say your guys got a bad matchup or something. You're rostering one of these back end, RB or QB1s or something. We got the New York Giants. The New York Giants stink. And they can't defend anybody. They just let up damn near 40 points to the Las Vegas Raiders with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. Get out of here. They're not stopping anybody. They're in full tank mode trying to get themselves a quarterback because Daniel Jones might not be the guy and they need to bring someone else in, even though they just paid him a bunch of money. But in week 13 in Mageddon, they have the Los Angeles Chargers, and those guys have to go to Foxborough to play them, and the Chargers are swinging gate through the middle of the field, which is exactly where the New England Patriots succeed at throwing the ball. The middle of the field is open. That's why we just bet Tyler Conklin in catches, in reception, or in yards. Zach Wilson over in passing yards. Hit all 3 of those tonight. You can hear those things on Pickin' Winners that'll air at the end of the week. Just check the channel, subscribe to it, so you can go hear that kind of stuff going on forward, what we think from this stuff from a betting angle, but kind of what influences our fantasy stuff as well. But they are terrible in the middle field. They cannot defend in the middle of the field with their linebackers, and the Jets move the ball when they throw it in the middle of the field, and you got Nathaniel Hackett still calling deep routes and fade routes and streaks all the way up the sideline where these guys are running from left of the number into the boundary line, and you can't succeed there. And then you got guys dropping balls. Alan Lazard he's a brick wall. Like, the guy is built like a brick wall, and his hands are part of it, and he just keeps dropping them, and it makes Zach Wilson look bad. Put some respect on my boy Zach Wilson. But, oh God, Tony, we're going to bang out this Mac Jones for the rest of the year. We're going to be buying Christmas presents. What do your kids want? What do your kids want? What do my kids want? We're like, I don't know, Nintendos? You want Nintendos? You want hoverboards? Hell, you want a house? You want a condo in the Hamptons? We'll figure it out all off the back of Mac Jones. It sounds crazy, but the thing is that you don't have to roster Mac Jones until week 12 because no one's going to pick him up. Right? Pick them up right before the games start on Sunday on the 12th, on week 12, so that you don't have to fight the waiver wire in case someone's like, yeah, whatever, right? I'll play Mac Jones. So pick him up that week because he's coming off bye in week 11, so he's not going to be on any roster for the bye week. Week 12, no one's picking him up because no one's on bye. Week 13, ride Mac Jones, get yourself a playoff spot, come back here, comment, and say, Dad, I'm glad your headphones are back on. Oh,
that's so fun. I should have stayed over there.
I don't know. I don't know why, but so I kind of like that you came up with position style players, right? And then I end up with quarterbacks. So we had 2 different ways of thinking. Didn't talk about it before. Like we usually, Tony, you'll send me your notes on Sunday, and I was like, God damn, I don't even know what to put it in the spreadsheet. So whatever, I'll put mine, and then I sent this to you like an hour and a half ago, so definitely didn't
that worked
read
out
my
well.
shit before. So, and Mac Jones obviously owned in 6% of all fantasy leagues.
Oh yeah,
so
he's free. Yeah,
he's free. You don't have to spend a fab dollar on him, so it's nice. Let's move on to a draft. Tony, the Olympics are adding flag football. The NFL has said we want our players to play flag football. It's awesome. You know why? Because we're the greatest fucking nation in flag football, in football in general, and definitely flag football. It's just a gold medal. Suck it, China. Like, this is what we got to do is just add things that are only American because the Chinese, we just compete with the Chinese every year of like, how many medals can we get? And then how many gold medals do we get? And it's the same it's awesome. But, let's draft a 5-man roster for our best Olympic flag football teams. We're going to have the roster constructed of 1 quarterback and 4 pass catchers because I read online that that's what it's going to be. So no down linemen and all that. No, I put it as pass catchers, so it leaves it open if you want to use running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, sprinters, swimmers, maybe basketball players. Like, if we can get Victor Wembanyama dual citizenship and he could play for the just throw it up. Just throw it up. It'd be
10,
awesome. You imagine
10 feet. No one's defending that.
no one's defending it. But do you want the number 1 overall, or would you like the
Yes.
turn?
I want the 1.
You want the number 1 overall?
Yeah, I want the 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who you got?
So I mean, you can draft, the elite, the dream team of pass catchers. It's not going to matter if you don't have the quarterback to get them the ball. I'm taking Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL. Probably going to be the best quarterback of our generation when it's all said and done. And he's like at the beginning of his prime. Put him in, coach.
See, I think this is where you screwed up, Tony.
Nope.
There's tons of quarterbacks who could dominate the world, right? We have the greatest quarterbacks in the league, in the world. Like Mac Jones, go win us a gold medal.
Go ahead, put him on your team.
So I'm going to say my quarterback for last now. So that works. My number 1 is going to be Tyreek Hill. Probably one of the better route runners in the league. Super fast, but challenges the defense and makes them think twice. Like they might, I don't know if you could run zone in the Olympics in flag football when you got 4 wideouts going or whatever like that. I don't know how you do it, right? Because you might want to rush the passer, but yeah, I don't know how they do it. But there ain't nobody in the world messing with Tyreek Hill, and he's so damn fast that once he catches it, like his flags, like he all he's got to do is be 6 inches in front of you because his flags are going to be flapping. You're not going to be able to catch him, and then he's off to the races. Touchdown, 1-play touchdowns all the time from our dudes. My number 2, I wanted to add in how are we going to be better competitively? Tyreek Hill can play a wide receiver super fast. There might be another dude out there who's super, like we just have no idea of, right? It's like these European basketball players and stuff like that come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But there might be some dude who's like super fast, agile, can run with Tyreek Hill, and we're like, holy crap, get this guy in the NFL. There ain't nobody as big, strong, and also fast. This guy runs down defenders on interceptions and fumble returns from 30, 40 yards back like the cheetah. His name is DK Metcalf. We're throwing lobs up to this dude. 6'4", 200 and 1,000 pounds of nothing but muscle. There ain't nothing like that dude out there in the rest of the world. I guarantee you, because he looks like Francis Ngannou, who just fought Tyson Fury in a boxing ring, heavyweight champion, former of the UFC. He is that dude playing wide receiver, elite speed, jumping ability. I think we beat everybody in hops. So I'll take DK Metcalf with my number 2.
Damn. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It is. I'm winning.
You're leaving a lot of meat on the bone, though. We're just gonna get the band back together with these next 2 picks: Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Imagine Pat Mahomes with those 2 guys left and right. Yeah. Good God. And they're like elite athletes, specimens as well. Maybe not as, girthy as one DK Metcalf, but if these guys got to play defense, I have no issues with their lateral movement, their speed, hopping ability, everything. So best pass catchers Mahomes has ever had.
Whoa. He had Juju. Kadarius Toney on the same team. Won a Super Bowl. I don't see these other 2 guys winning a Super Bowl. Oh man.
Kansas City
I looked up. I saw that you had responded to my post on Twitter, my tweet on Twitter X about Jamar Chase, because I was looking up these things and I was like, wait a minute, this dude's only 6 foot tall. And I kind of noticed it when they were showing him talk to DeMar Hamlin in the Sunday Night Football game. I was like, wait a minute, he looks kind of small. That was a weird camera angle. He's only 6 foot. Tony, I'm 6 foot. I could beat Jamar Chase. Yeah, I thought this dude was like 6'3".
You and Nick.
Yeah, I thought this dude was like 6'3". He's only 6 foot. That's crazy. A lot of these guys are very, very small.
I hope he's
You got to come closer. You got to come closer to the camera with it. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
I'll add Jamar Chase next time.
Yeah. We have a buddy, Nick, who's a Bengals fan, has season tickets, flies from Colorado to Cincinnati every now and then. Last night he sent me pictures with,
That's awesome.
right next to Tony Dungy and his son with the Bengals cheerleaders and stuff like that at the Bills Bengals game. But I didn't have Jamar Chase on my roster of
Really?
players that I would like to pick. Yeah, and it was solely a size thing. It was just
Fair.
solely a size thing. My next one, man, I got two, and I got to pick wide receivers out of here. I'm going to pick. I'm going on the thing of size. I got speed with Tyreek. I'm going to take. You're going to shoot me in the face for this one. I'm going to take Nico Collins. Nico Collins, super fast, 6'4", 230. The dude can hop out of the building. He's got great hands. We're seeing it right now when he plays with a decent quarterback, right, in CJ Stroud. I'll take Nico Collins. He is sneaky fast, and he can hop out of the building. He's got a big body and a big frame. And get those two guys on the outside or put them in the slot with Tyreek on the outside and get some little twisty actions and stuff like that. I don't think teams are competing with it. I'm going to take Nico Collins. People, put it in the comments. Nate, you're crazy. There's tons of wide receivers out there. Yeah. None of them are 6'4". So I'm going to do 6'4" because we're out here to win and dominate and show that we are so much bigger, badder, stronger, and faster than the rest of the globe, because that is what we do as Americans. I believe red, white, and blue, these colors don't run. Speaking of red, white, and blue, look, you need somebody on your team. This goes against what I want to do, but I just said that quote, and I need a guy who's going to be pumped up for America.
Cole
I'm
Beasley.
picking George Kittle.
Oh, okay.
Cole Beasley. Damn, that was so good. Make flag football great again. I ain't wearing no flags. Where these flags come from? Wuhan, made in Wuhan.
Oh my God.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, I'm going to pick George Kittle just because it would be so fun to see George Kittle representing America. And if one of your wide receivers needs to be a pass blocker, right, they have to snap the ball, right?
Oh,
usually in
sure.
flag football, you have somebody snap the ball right back to the guy. I'm pretty sure George Kittle can block two guys, two arms, boom, like that. He's so good at pass blocking that he could check that guy to give my quarterback enough time to get a pass off to these monsters that are out here, the Space Jam monsters on my outsides, and Tyreek Hill, the little Muggsy Bogues, talent stealer going through the middle of the field. I'm going to take George Kittle. And it would be awesome to see what kind of thing he has under his jersey, right? What is he going to put under there?
So many international incidents. You can see it now.
Yeah, it'd be so
right,
good.
My last two picks.
So good. So
Jesus,
I'll take
man.
George Kittle because it'd be fun.
My last two picks, there's so many good receivers here. I'll start with CeeDee Lamb. That seems like a pretty easy one. A dude who probably rivals DK, maybe not as tall, but definitely as girthy. These guys have like 12 abs each, I think, between I'm just going to say each, between A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. So A.J. Brown to round out my fourth receiver for Patrick Mahomes. There's no way you're
I like
bleeding
how
this
you
team.
have the
I don't care if you get Cole Beasley on your roster, Nate.
I like how you have a team full of short kings. So it's cute.
Short kings?
They're all 6 foot and under. I don't think I think AJ Brown might be 6'1" or CeeDee Lamb might be 6'1". Every one of these guys is 6 foot, and that is it. 6 foot. They're barely meeting the
They're
mark
all going to
for
be taller
what all
than
these
the rest
girls
of the
want to
world.
date out there in the world.
Jesus.
Not the Russians, dog. They're fucking massive. Russians, Germans, like they're huge people. My quarterback's going to be Justin Herbert.
6'2".
Elite accuracy. 6'2". He was wearing his cleats. But yeah, my quarterback is going to be Justin Herbert. Elite arm talent, super strong arm. By then, his fingers should be solid. So we're not going to have to worry about him not throwing the deep ball as well. He's mobile to be able to move around as the pass rush is coming at him and gosh, it would be so dope just to watch him throw to those wide receivers and for them to actually stay healthy. So what Justin Herbert could be in the NFL is what we will see as he puts the gold medal around his neck as my team beats yours. And you may think, oh, these talent guys, right? Yeah, they're fast or whatever like that. I got monsters on my team. Did you have any honorable mentions before we list off the rosters?
That's so many you didn't pick. Got a couple route technicians, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp thinks at a higher level probably than most quarterbacks in the NFL. And then Stephon Diggs, top 5 route runner. I would have taken him if you would have taken any of the 4 that I took.
Yeah. My only concern was that there's people who are agile out there in the world. There ain't nobody who's as big as these dudes. And so it was literally just intimidation factors, what I'm going with. So I did have Justin Jefferson as one. I had Jalen Waddle because I was like, that would be kind of cool to see with those 2 speed demons and then pick 2 big dudes. But then I wanted to go George Kittle, so I didn't do that. I had George Pickens at 6'4", and then I had T. Higgins at 6'4" as well, too. So just dudes who can moss dudes left and right and then just talk shit as they moss them. Like George Pickens would be fun. Like I don't know if they call pass interference, offensive pass interference in flag football, but if they don't,
probably.
That dude's 6 for 300, 6 for 300, 5 tutters. So,
dude, I can't wait for this though. This is going to be some Olympic events that should be on prime time.
Yeah, it's nice when America can dominate a competition. The thing that was surprising though is when you watch that Germany game with the Dolphins and the Chiefs, and I think it was either before the game or halftime, they honored the women's national German flag football team. And I was like, whoa, they already got that going on over there? Like, oh, I thought this was just something like, hey, it'd be fun to do. No, the world is into flag football. So, whew.
We'll see.
They only finished like 3rd in whatever their cup thing is over there. So not worried about them. We got dogs over here. So, all right, to recap, Tony, you got Mahomes, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown. Really short-sighted, but nice roster. I got Justin Herbert, monster. Tyreek Hill, elite speed. DK Metcalf, I mean, Jesus. He's like a Greek god statue. Nico Collins, massive. George Kittle, bringing it for America. He's got the long hair. Like, he could do the Hulk Hogan as they walk out, and stuff like that. It'd be so sick. Can you imagine America's walking out the tunnel with 5 dudes, and it's George Kittle in the front?
Voodoo Child or something. Yeah,
it's so good. Just America flag shorts, tank top says Hulkamania, he rips it off, or like DK Metcalf rips it off behind him. Oh, sick. But yeah, that's my roster. So rants or raves, Tony? You got a rant and rave before we get out of here today?
I do have one of those things. I'm raving this week. I'm raving about how great the Las Vegas Raiders are at managing their resources. First, you don't pay your best player in Josh Jacobs. He's a running back. Why would you? You franchise tag him, that only cost you $10 million this season. Then you fire Josh McDaniels 8 weeks into the 2023 season, a year after signing him to a 6-year deal worth up to $60 million between him and Ziegler. Their deals, who was also fired, were about $90 million in total. And if I remember correctly, the team still owes John Gruden about $30 to $40 million after cutting him loose a couple years ago to make way for McDaniels. So almost $100 million in contracts just for failed coaches. Is sarcasm? Is that something that's allowed here in this segment?
Sure.
If not, this is a rant, but I'm going to end it with bring back Rich Bisaccia. The Italian stallion. Coached him to a wild card berth, Nate.
That is racist. That is definitely racist. How do you feel about celebrating Christmas being Italian? Is that hard for you, knowing what Italians did? Huh?
No, I don't practice, so they didn't win.
You don't practice being Italian?
Being religious?
Yeah. I had something in here that I have raves that I want to get to. This one's bucket. I'm going to get to this. So I have one that's about dynasty football and people not setting their fucking rosters. IR spots all over starting roster. I've played this 2 weeks in a row, and there's 4 teams in the dynasty that haven't been sending rosters. I'm going to rant about that next week because this one's been on top of my mind too. And I was debating whether to put that up here, but in the beginning when we did top of mind, but then the Bryce Young thing came to mind because it's been on my mind. I want to talk about people, shows, content creators, whatever it may be, and advertisement sponsor deals, and them. It's so disgusting to me on like what people will shill out for extra cash. And it's crazy because we see it from multi-millionaires who are in the faces of everybody that loves sports. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm specifically pointing a finger at Travis fucking Kelce, because Travis Kelce, and it pissed me off. And I want to talk about this last week and I didn't. And it's been stewing in me because I like Formula One. Tony, you like Formula One. We have a common friend in David who likes Formula One. I watch this shit every weekend. I watch every practice. I watch all the qualifying, sprints, everything, and the race. Travis Kelce just got bought into partial ownership with a few other people for Alpine, the team Alpine in Formula One. But if you go listen to not the one that's going to come out this Wednesday, not the one that came out last Wednesday, the one before that, I don't, whatever. By Wednesday, go back two episodes in the past. Jason Kelce brings it up about how he bought into the team Alpine, Formula One. And they don't really know much about Formula One, but he bought into Alpine. And Travis Kelce, yeah, Alpine Racing. I'm a partner now with Alpine. And I saw that in Miami, and speaking about it, doesn't know dick. Then don't talk about it if you don't know dick about it. You don't even know how to pronounce the fucking team name that you just bought. Like, we're gonna walk in there into a French facility and be like, "Hey, proud to be a part of the Alpine team," and everybody's gonna look at you. Go fuck yourself. We just want your money, right? I get it's business stuff or whatever like that, but at least do a little bit of research into what you're doing. And then, worst of all, is this Experian debit card with a boost shit that's all over their podcast, that's all over the televisions about, man, zero debt and great credit score, and this, Experian debit card, it's not a credit card, but it boost and it'll build up your credit score. You know what boost for credit score does? Absolutely nothing, because really it's debatable what people believe, and live your life how you want to live it, whatever. I live a certain way and I'll talk about it forever. And if people don't want to do it, that's cool. Do what you want to do, right? It makes me happy. It gives me peace. I don't do debt. The only debt I'll take on for the rest of my life is going to be a mortgage. And that is it, because it is so fucking hefty to get a mortgage. But it's going to be a 15-year mortgage and I have all the parameters, right? And I'm saving for it. I've been saving for like a year and a half. But you cannot get a mortgage with a boosted credit score. They don't look at it. So therefore, you having a nice credit score is just so you can look at your fucking Credit Karma and bitch and show off to your buddies about how you have 7-something 800 credit score that you can't get a mortgage for, because none of that stuff counts toward your credit history for a fucking mortgage. So all you can do, and it's so damn greatly advertised, is what it's going to do is you're going to see all these things in your little Credit Karma, or you're going to get all these things about how you're approved for this credit card and their point system and this, that, the other. And all it is a trap to get you into more debt, because you'll have a fictitious credit score that they know. Because why is the credit bureau people in Experian opening up a bank to give you more debt? And then say, hey, we'll build your credit score for you that you can't use for what you really need a credit score for, or therefore you don't really need one, but people tend to want to have one for a mortgage. It doesn't work. It's absolutely stupid. It's just a marketing ploy to get you to get other cards that they promote through their stuff to get you more in debt. America is so far in it, and you got these assholes who don't have to deal with all this shit, who are promoting this stuff to guys like you, me, the people who are watching this, kids, whatever it may be, teenage, college guys. Oh, I'll get this or whatever like that. And, I got approved for a $15,000 credit card. I'm fucking 18 and a half because I've been using this debit card with Boost and I got a good credit score, and then you're fucked because now you're in a trap where you're making $40,000 a year and you up to your eyeballs in fucking debt because, God forbid, your favorite athlete did some shit and they don't even know what they're talking about. You can tell, and it's so bothersome. Half the shit that they sponsor and they shill out is stuff they don't use, they don't have in their lives, and it's fucking gross. And you can tell all over the place like how fucking corny it is. Do you think that the Kelseys are really sitting there with their mom and she's making them Campbell's fucking chunky soup? I get it's been a thing for years of somebody in the NFL doing Campbell's chunky soup. They're not sitting there at this nice little countertop with their mom fucking having Campbell's chunky soup from a fucking can, sirloin beef and potato for fucking $3.99. Fuck that.
Don't hate on that commercial. I'm a pretty man. That's a good spot.
It's funny, but they're not eating that shit. They're just not.
He's lucky. Kelsey's lucky. Travis is that Taylor Swift put him on the map. Tell you what.
It's just gross. It's so gross. The Alpine thing pissed me off. At least know who. That's like saying, like somebody, the Kansas City chefs. Like someone bought I'm a proud owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, wait, what? We're the Chiefs. And the guy comes out with a fucking chef hat on. Like, people will be pissed, boycotting. In that area of the country, they'd probably be out having, pitchforks that are lit on fire or something like that going through the town. And you don't even know it? It's so fucking disrespectful. And then you're shilling out products that do nothing but fucking hurt people.
Hey, listen.
Fucking stupid.
Experian, Campbell's.
No.
If you guys are listening, I'm more than happy to open my wallet for you. I'll drop whatever you want.
Fuck that. Hell, that's one thing I've always said is I would regardless of where we get to, right? And I think we just hit over 200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for subscribing. Don't know what the fuck you guys are doing it for, but we appreciate it. And if you're still listening at this point, really appreciate it, right? But that's one thing that I can't do, and it bugs me. And I don't know. I can't do stuff that I don't believe in. So it just feels weak and sorry. Yeah, whatever. Move on. You got anything else to say before we get out of here, Tony?
That was a good rave. Rant. It was a good rant. It was really good. I'm not sure if I've ever heard Nate rant harder.
I hate when people promote fucking debt products. Debt products and then talking about how the government should fucking forgive student loans, and they just lie to you too about how they're going to do it, knowing it'll never pass because you can't. It'll crush the country that's already in.
The triple P loans or whatever were forgiven, like tenfold of whatever people owe for student loans.
Yeah.
So what?
No,
so what? Why do you hate poor people, Nate?
I don't hate poor people. I just wish that people wouldn't make poor decisions, and that we'd actually teach people to make better decisions in life, so they don't put themselves in those.
You should look up. You should look up how many people who are very well off got their PPP loans forgiven. You'd be surprised.
Tons of them.
A lot of people who are not like you and I. They're not like you. They live in big houses. They have multiple houses. So we can argue about that or debate that on a different episode.
I'd rather people just not deal with this stuff so they don't ever have to rely on other people. If we can get people not to do it, right? So,
yeah.
Anyways, thanks for listening. You guys can... wow, that took a weird turn. You guys can follow the show on all socials at TacoCorp Sports. You can follow the show on Spotify as well. Leave a review. Be sure to subscribe to the channel here. Hit the notification bell. You'll get notified up in the top right of YouTube every time that a new video drops. And I think that'll come good in the off season because I think we'll do some different types of content as well. In the NFL off season, we'll hit on other sports and stuff like that, but prepping for fantasy football throughout the entire year because why take time off? Everything's happening at that time. So, and let us know in the comments what you think about this episode. What do you guys want to hear? Who has the better draft for the flag football draft? What you guys learned in week 3? Who are you stashing for the rest of the year? Getting ready for all these bye weeks. Am I crazy for Mac Jones? I don't think so. Banger of the week. Proud by 2 Chainz because you know what? Josh Dobbs, he made his mama proud this weekend. I don't know if you see DeAndre Hopkins, his mom's blind from an acid attack. And every time he scores a touchdown, he hands her a ball. She goes to the games, can't see. And he hands her a ball. So he's making his mama proud. And she doesn't even know what's going on. I'm sure she knows what's going on, but she can't see what's going on. So everybody make their moms proud. Go make your mom proud this weekend or the rest of the week. Until we see you again. For Tony, I'm Nate. This is TacoCorp episode 114, Week 9 NFL recap. Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.